If I could sum up today's video, or perhaps the effects of today's video, in one image, I think this would probably be the best one. We are about to stir a hornet's nest. In today's video, I'm going to reveal some things and make some allegations that are likely not going to be received well by a lot of my audience, but it's the truth. And that's what this channel has been dedicated to, revealing this to people. Now, in order to set the stage for this, I would like, if you could, indulge me for 1 minute while I share a story from my childhood. The picture that you're looking at on the left is a very old kind of graying image of my maternal grandparents. That's my mother's father and my grandmother right after they were married, very, very young. He related a story to us when we were young kids about when they were, right after they were married, living down in Mississippi. He woke up one night, and it was a very, very warm summer night, and they had left the window open. And, of course, at that time, there were no screens, and he had heard a noise, and he looked up, and lo and behold, standing in the windowsill, looking over both of them, was this very large bobcat. Now, very calmly, my grandfather reached over the night table where he kept a loaded revolver, and one shot took the bobcat out. Grandmother, of course, in a dead sleep, jumped out of her skin. But the reason I relate the story is that there was absolutely no confusion as to which bed table had the revolver on it. It was my grandfather's side, of course. You see, that was his role. Protector, provider, procreator. Now, I had, on that side of my family, two uncles. There was two uncles, my mom, and two other aunts. So they had 5 kids, and then they even adopted more. But the moral of the story was that was his job. There was no confusion who the role of protector was. Now, great story, Mikey. What does that have to do with anything going on in the real world? You see this issue in Nashville? This is what's happening. These young people are getting confused as to what their role is in society and what their role is in the world and who they are. And there's a video game out there online that encourages this. And when I saw these images from the security footage down in Nashville from the shooting at Covenant School, I knew exactly what was going on in the head of this individual. And we're going to cover that today. But real quick, I always want to be diligent. I always want to say thank you to everyone who joins us here every day at the Florida Maquis YouTube channel, the backup channel, the Alpha site, and also to those of you who have stepped up over at the Patreon channel, who've pledged the $1 per month. Thank you. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it makes a huge difference in my life. It gives me parity and leverage against the censors. I can talk about things over there in a way I can't talk about them here. We have a brand new video up over there. And believe me, it's already ticked a few people off, but that's kind of the idea when you get woke up. And my grandmother, when she got woken up by a revolver blast, was not happy, but once my grandfather, calmed her down and said, this is what happened, this is what's going on, they went outside and found the bobcat, she was very grateful, very thankful, but that's usually the case. Now, over at the Patreon channel, about this time last year, I did a 4-part series talking about women during a survival situation and another 4-part series about men during a survival situation. Almost all of the other videos on YouTube had basically one answer for every problem that could ever come up in a survival situation, and it had to do with a ballistic weapon. What I wanted to do was create videos that gave you other options, more than just a hammer in your toolbox, so that when problems that weren't nails showed up, you had the ability to deal with it. Now, on this 4-part series that dealt with women specifically, I talked about many things women could do that most people wouldn't think of. For example, putting a very large pair of men's work boots, used work boots, outside your door, so that in case anybody saw that, they would think twice about, whether you were there alone or not. Occasionally, and that's lower left here, bear spray. And I still stand by this, honest to God, close quarters. If you're outnumbered It is a great equalizer. You'd make people wish that you had used a ballistic weapon on them. Occasionally having a friend sleep over. Male friend. Just to have the vehicle out there. And if you had a male friend that lived close, if it was easy enough, have them park their truck in your driveway. This was specifically all for women, single women. Things that they could do to make themselves less of a target. These zombie bars, basically, they're just two brackets that go on the side of the door. Very, very inexpensive, and for the price of a 2x4, so much more effective than a deadbolt. You would literally have to kick the entire door frame down. Baby monitors, interior cameras, a dog, having people coming and going, all of these things were really good strategies when put together as a suite of strategies to affect good defensive posture. But one of the things that I suggested really got met with a lot of pushback. And it really is indicative of what's being taught today. I told ladies, look, if you're single and you're out in the dating market, perhaps think about upping your age limit for who you might consider as a possible dating prospect. Now, a lot of women come out, I don't need no man to protect me. I don't need no man to protect me. You see, it's just that idea. It is just that idea that is the problem in Nashville with this situation. It's this idea, a woman must not depend upon the protection of a man, but must be taught to protect herself. Susan B. Anthony. You see, that sounds all good and fine, but you see, this is the case here with this particular individual. And I can tell exactly what happened. This young woman, confused about her role in society, after having played this game, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, PUBG, decided to go affect some event in real life that made her feel powerful, that made her feel like she was in control of who she was. And the reason I know it's inspired by PUBG is because she's walking around literally dressed like a PUBG character. And not just any PUBG character, female PUBG characters. Plus, the two weapons. Anybody who's played PUBG knows that all those characters run around with two weapons. Now, you ready for this? Ready to have your mind blown? Red hat, camo pants. She was wearing a white t-shirt. They hypersexualize these characters, these female character skins in PUBG, making them unattainable for any woman, really, which causes all sorts of problems, which has probably led her to think that, maybe I would rather be a boy instead. But they give them this idea that, you have to have two rifles and a handgun. And you can go look. They have camo pants, white t-shirts, one weapon in their hand, usually close quarters, and then one long weapon. Go look at the PUBG skins. It literally looks like an episode out of when I say PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, PUBG, PUBG. This is the case. This is the reality. And here's the style. This girl's wearing literally almost exactly what the Nashville shooter was wearing. To a T. This is sportstar.id cosplay. Most popular cosplays for PUBG. And they do, and it's horrible. And then ladies, in this particular case, I'm with you. The way they model the female video game characters, if women, especially young girls, are getting this idea that that's what they're supposed to look like, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You see, it's a tough thing because you can't really blame all men. You can't really blame all women. You see, men in traditional societies were protectors, just like my grandfather was. A lot of ladies out there, well, I'm going to know how to use what. If you want men to be like what they were back in the 1950s, go ask your grandma or great grandma how often she went to the range. Seriously, back in the 50s. Way back when men were men, women were women. Well, women being women meant that, ask them. I guarantee, you ask them when they were in their 20, 25 years old, they didn't know how to load a weapon. They might have known how to load it, but how to actually use a weapon on par with a man? Nah. No way. Not in the 1950s. No chance. I mean, there might be some anecdotal evidence out there, well, my grandma did this or my grandma did that, but the vast majority of women versus men were far more proficient with firearms. It was what men did. Men went out, shot trap, shot skeet, and went out hunting. Women didn't come along. Not to the range. None of that. And say what you want about old guys. Ladies out there, I know there's like the suggestion maybe date somebody older. They're natural protectors, natural providers, and believe me, the last house you ever want to break into is some old guy's house who's got a shotgun by the bed. You're going to die, especially in Florida. He doesn't need an AR-15. Guarantee it. Guarantee it, guys. 60. Help back me up here, guys. Back me up here. You're out there, 50, 55, 60 years old, 65, maybe older. Middle of the night. You gonna reach for some long rifle? What are you gonna reach for? If you want to definitely make sure that you have the CQB, close quarters battle advantage over whoever's gotten into your house or whatever's making noise down there, you're going for the shotgun. And if you aren't, you're dumb. You know, it's you're bleary-eyed, you're tired, you just woke up. You don't need to be worrying about making some kind of a sight picture or, getting your exact right, face position and, trigger discipline, all this. You're going to go down there and grab a shotgun, and you're probably going to, have it right across your chest or down your hip. You're not going to be picking it up to your shoulder to shoot anybody. Guarantee it. And that's what this was all about. See if I can find the picture. Hold on. This was a girl who felt like she needed to be more of a boy because she didn't feel safe. And she felt like, and this is Tennessee, they do this to girls down there. They teach them to be scared of their own shadows. And that every problem, all of their safety issues, all of their fear will go away based on how many weapons they have and being able to use them. That's what this is all about. And a good place to go train that's cheap and easy and to get used to the whole thing is online games like PUBG. And look at this. You look at this picture right here, tells the entire story. This picture here tells this could literally be an AI representation of a PUBG event. Those of you who've played it know what I'm talking about. The calmness, the swagger, the red hat, the camo pants, the carrying of the two rifles, the short range, the long range, and the handgun. This for me is open and shut case. Oh, then this is what they're going to find. I guarantee it. This is exactly what they're going to find. So anyway, look, if you got pushback on this, I'd love to hear it. Go talk to your grandmothers, great-grandmothers about what life was like in the 1950s. How often they went to the range. How many different weapons they were proficient with. They didn't. Could they? Sure. I'm sure they could. But it wasn't their job. And make no mistake, when you take that away from a man, and you say, look, Mr. Macho, I don't need your protection. I've got everything taken care of. Then what's his role in your life? If a man can just be that easily replaced by a few trips to the range. I mean, this is what government wants. Because government can provide the money for you and then you provide whatever else. They'd love to break up this idea of men needing women, women needing men, and having distinct roles. Just like my grandparents did. They had distinct roles. They had jobs that they had. And the revolver was on my grandfather's side of the bed for a reason. Now, that may seem sexist, may seem old-fashioned, but they didn't die. So I will leave it there. God bless. Have a great week. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.